Hey, Lost Home Crypto Smith here, and I've just been walking my dogs today. Here's Louis, my Labrador, and Teddy the little one, and I've also been looking out for some mushrooms but not spotted any today, and there's an interesting little wood pile there. And also, less than 2 days away from my planned water fast, which I'm going to do, inspired by Dana White. I've done fasts before, but it was him that inspired me to do one this year, long overdue detox. And just wanted to touch on the cult of conspiracy theory. Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that I do pay attention to. Certainly some very strange things were afoot in my view from early 2020, so I certainly did question almost everything around that. The lunar landing also is something I have a problem with, simply because when you look at pictures of the moon buggy next to the lunar lander, you have to ask yourself, how did that thing fit inside the lunar lander? And also, who positioned the cameras when the lunar lander took off, went back to Earth? How did that camera in the early 60s or whenever it was manage to beam that imagery back to America? So I have severe questions around all of that. But there really is a danger that all this stuff can go too far. So and the reason I say that is because I see a lot of anti-Semitism in these kind of circles. People who deny the Holocaust, aka idiots, who know nothing. And what else do we see? Flat earthers is a real big problem now. I used to think they're pretty harmless, but now I realise that it is not harmless. It's very harmful because A, it's idiotic, and B, how is anyone going to take a flat earther seriously when they then start to move on to topics that I think that have got on point around health, rejecting pharmaceutical drugs in favour of natural options, healing your mind and body the natural way. The very same person is denying the Holocaust and believes in a flat earth. So I've been investing a lot of time trying to debunk that for my own benefit, and that's kind of like the caricature is of a NASA employed bunch of Jew penguins with machine guns that guard the South Pole, so that no one can actually go to the South Pole because NASA's Jew penguins armed with machine guns won't let them. That's kind of a caricature. But as my research has been showing, you can circumnavigate Antarctica each year in a boat race. You can actually get a job on Antarctica as a civilian, and I actually know people who've travelled there. And yeah, flat earth is a whole other topic. I might do another video on that just to continue with debunking of that super trashy stuff. And then also what happens is somebody that everybody gave big thumbs up to during the COVID era for championing medical freedom and liberty, they decide to, let's say for example, side with Israel in the conflict, which is probably unwise to side with anyone in that conflict. But immediately the conspiracy cult will throw that person under the bus, and they'll discredit all of the good stuff they've done in the last 3-4 years. And nobody's perfect. Nobody can tick every single box. Of course, when you sort of follow scriptures and you have a more spiritual outlook, that helps you to keep outside of all this political stuff anyway, and not worry about it at all. Just stay away from it. But these people are constantly changing their opinion, one day saying this person's great and the next day throwing them completely under the bus just because of one view they have that doesn't align to them. And they're people that sort of sit behind keyboards who really aren't doing nothing much at all. So do try and keep an open mind. But that imagery does spring to my mind of the penguins guarding the South Pole with machine guns. These people say that there's no such thing as South, because on the flat Earth, the North Pole is in the centre, so South becomes one big circle. There's ice around it. They misquote the Bible to say that the Earth is flat. Total nonsense, not in the Bible. And yeah, that's my thoughts really. That it can damage freedom of expression, and well, it shouldn't, because people should be allowed to say whatever they like, however ridiculous and nonsensical it is. But it's just a word of caution that if you go so far down that rabbit hole where you believe everything's fake, all history is false, as soon as a person aligns with a certain position, throw them under the bus, label everybody controlled opposition, people like Russell Brand, who clearly is not, and they basically really are just elevating themselves into this kind of cartoon-like world. So like I say, I do question a lot of things, and I do believe that most, if not all, wars are started by false flags. If you consider, for example, the way Hitler started World War II. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. Some of these people say that Hitler was the best person of World War II. What idiots. Yeah, if you look at how he started that war, he basically had some of his German troops killed and then blamed it on the Poles as a pretext to invade, something like that. So all these wars are kind of started like that. Many things that I question that I can't really talk about on YouTube. But that's just my thought for today. There's just such a danger of going down an endless rabbit hole that takes you ultimately to a world where you trust nobody except yourself, and you can't live in a world like that. So those are my thoughts for today. I'll carry on with my walk.